I'm buying a property right now in a hot real estate market. I'm a real estate agent. I've been doing this 35 years. So why am I buying in a hot real estate market? And what am I buying? Am I overpaying for it? What's my criteria? How have I come to this conclusion that now is the time I should buy? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to go through 10 or 11 things that I look for when I buy property. And I don't want to say they're specific to me, but they're definitely things that are important to me, but should be also, for the most part, important to you as a buyer. Now, if you're a seller or an owner watching this, this will give you a bit of an insight into how a buyer thinks, even in this type of market. So let's go. Number one, it's been used a million times and it's not 100% accurate, but location. And I'm gonna dispel that a little bit because I think the next one's more important than location. And number two is timing. You have to be aware of where you purchase, but you also have to be aware of the timing. Buying a property, it doesn't matter when you buy the property. What matters is when you sell it. So it's no good buying in a hot real estate market and selling when it drops in value. That makes no sense. Now, I know sometimes you might say, but I have no choice, I had to sell it. Well, I understand that happens, but that's not ideal. The ideal time is you buy a property, you hang on to it over time, and over 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it goes up a lot in value. So I don't think it's so much location. I think real estate purchasing and making money in real estate is all about timing. Number three, should I buy on a busy street? For me, the property that I'm just in the process of buying right now is on a busy street. Now, I might not have done that 10 years ago, but because we're moving in the direction of electric vehicles, EVs, because busier streets will get quieter and quieter and quieter over the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years, buying on a busy street is not as a big a detriment as what it may have been 10 or 15 years ago. So the property I'm currently buying is on a busy street. Does the property need work? Now, the reason I look at this and why this is important for me, I'm going to tie in some other points, but for me, a property that needs a little bit of work is not necessarily a bad thing. And number five, tying into doesn't need a little bit of work, is the ability to capitally improve the property. So to do things to the property. Now, this property that I'm buying is currently tenanted. When and if the tenant moves out, because we will raise their rent because it's undervalued on rent at the moment, we will probably just do paint and carpet and some landscaping. Now, down the line, possibly in 3, 5, 7 or 10 years, I may do new kitchen, new bathrooms, may reconfigure the house a little bit. So I look for a property that I'm going to purchase that has the ability to change things both cosmetically and also structurally to improve the value over time. Number six, the neighbors. Some people don't buy houses because the neighbor's house is a dump. This particular property I'm buying, the neighbor on one side, really nice. The neighbor on the other side, it's a dump. It looks like they haven't even cut their lawn for years. It's that bad. There's all creepers growing over the house. Looks like the Addams family used to live there. So why would I buy next door to that? Well, it's because that's devalued this particular property. But I guarantee you over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, whoever owns that property, they'll move on and it will be sold and it will be fixed up. So I'm taking that gamble. It's an educated gamble, but it's still a gamble that I'm willing to take. Number seven, I mentioned this one earlier, rental potential. Right now, the rents are here. I won't say what the figure is, but the rents are here. They can easily go up by 15%. The reason it's low is because the previous owner did not want to raise them. Okay, so there's potential to raise the rents. Now, not for another 6 months or so, but as soon as that time comes, boom, that rent's going up, and then we're going to work from there. Number eight, the ability to add on. This particular property that I've purchased, I can add on to. I can add an extra bathroom. I can add an extra bedroom. I can convert the garage into a bedroom. It's got a carport, so I'm not going to lose parking. So again, for what I look for and what I'm purchasing right now, ability to add on. Now, whether I do or not is another question, but it has the ability or the potential for me to do that to improve that capital value. Number nine, when I purchase property, I make sure it's not in an area where there's a single employer that employs 20, 30 or 40% of the town, like a massive IKEA or a massive coal mine or some other sort of industry. I don't want to purchase in those areas because one day, whatever that industry is may shut down and then my property values will suffer because of it. So wherever I buy, I make sure the reason that area good, like on the Sunshine Coast, is still going to be good in 5, 10, 15 or 20 years. Even putting global warming and whatever your beliefs are there aside, in 20, 30, 40 years time, it's still going to be a nice place to live here on the Sunshine Coast. So I make sure what's caused the value isn't going to disappear in my lifetime, basically. That sounded a little tragic, but wasn't meant to be. Number 10, proximity to shops, to schools. Does it have sidewalks so the kids can walk to the school or walk to the shops on the sidewalk? Are there crossing areas? Are there parks nearby? Is there a creek or a river? And there happens to be a creek fairly close to this property. Is it flood prone? And the answer is no, it's not, obviously. Otherwise, I would not have bought it. But they're the other things I look for in the area. Little things like that we call it cocooning in the business. Everything is right there and you don't have to travel too far to get anything. Oh, and tied into that is the orientation of the house. Does it face west? Does it face north? Now, north facing is overrated. It depends on what part of the house is north facing. Is it the backyard with a pool? Is it the front yard? So you get the light in the morning from the nor'easterly in winter. So orientation is important from the aspect of be aware where the sun sets to make sure you're not going to get beat up too much. If you are going to get beat up a little bit, make sure you can do some sort of screen to stop that. My house that I currently live in faces west, huge balconies facing west, but we've got it screened, so it's quite pleasant in summer, maybe except for 1 hour where it's direct sun. Otherwise, it's okay. So when I'm buying property, I make sure I understand the orientation of the house to make sure I can compensate for it if I need to. Number 11, and this pertains to units, so I'm going to go through my list of what I do not want when I buy in a unit complex. So let's go through these. No pools, no elevators, no on-site management, no huge gardens that take a ton of maintenance, no rooftop decks. And let me tell you why no rooftop decks. Rooftop decks seem to be, in my experience, have an issue when they leak and they go through the next unit. Then the body corp has to cover that, then your body corp fees go up. So for me, no rooftop decks at all. And also people will tend to put jacuzzis on rooftop decks. I don't want a complex where there's jacuzzis which weigh literally 3 or 4 tons sitting above someone's apartment where the body corp or you as a homeowner are responsible for the body corp fees. And if that jacuzzi leaks, big problem. So no jacuzzis, no rooftop decks. So for me, investing a lot of time, it's an analysis between the capital growth I'm going to see and the rental income that I'm getting on a weekly or monthly basis. Typically, the higher that capital improvement, the lower the rents are going to be proportional to the price. The higher the rents are going to be, then the lower the actual capital value and the capital improvement will be compared to the price. I mean, if you think a beachfront unit might be $800,000, but the rent might only be $500 a week. Whereas if you move a little bit inland, that same type of unit might be $600,000 and the rents will be $500 a week. So you've got to balance out that monthly rental income with the capital gain and look at that over the term that you're planning on holding that property, whether it be 5, 10, 15, 20 or 30 years. Now, the only kind of caveat to all of this is if you're living out of state right now or even out of the country and you're watching this and you're going to buy a property that you're going to potentially move into, then a lot of this goes out the window because then you're looking for a property that there's a home, it's not a house, it's not an investment, it's somewhere where you're going to live and maybe raise a family or retire in. So a lot of this criteria might not matter as much. In other words, if you're older, you're going to want elevators. You may want an on-site management to oversee things. You may want a pool. But from a strictly investment standpoint, no, I don't want those things. So if you're buying and you're going to eventually live in, most of these rules go out the window. Now, that all being said, make sure you have a plan B because there's lots of people in my database that bought a property 3, 5, 7, 10 years ago with the intention of moving up to the Sunshine Coast and all their plans changed. I mean, maybe one of the 3 Ds hit in real estate: death, divorce, or disaster, and all their plans went out the window and now this property has turned into something that they may have lived in into an investment property, but they paid so much for it, they're not seeing that rental return. So always have that plan B in place just in case life doesn't work out the way you thought. And that's it. That's a little insight into how I think and how I'm buying a property right now in this real estate market. I may be overpaying for this property. In fact, I'm pretty sure I am, but I don't care. I'm not going to sell it in 2 years' time. It's going to be something that my kids get down the line. So we'll make sure we look after it, we maintain it, we'll do things right, and my kids will get the benefit of me, and maybe they'll thank me when they're a bit older, who knows. So that's it. So if you're a buyer, feel free to call me. Happy to share my insight of doing this for 35 years to help you. If you're an owner or a seller and you're thinking about selling, give me a call. I'd love to show you what we do differently at Rouse Realty to get your property sold. And if you're a landlord and you want your property managed, you're going to find we do a fantastic job at that too. Just ask me. That's it for now. See you all next week.